to go into closed session, which I think that should be perfect timing for our chair to be walking in. So with that, I would ask, I'll call the meeting to order, and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. We need to do the pledge. Oh, he's doing the pledge? Yeah. Oh, I don't. Stop, please. Lead us in the pledge.
Please follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and do a roll call. Madam Clerk.
Chair Wagner. Vice Chair Bucknell, present. Commissioner Davert. Commissioner Fissler.
Here.
Commissioner Wong. Present. Commissioner McGregor.
Here.
Commissioner Freshley.
Here.
Commissioner Moore.
Present.
Commissioner Penrose, and we have a quorum.
Thank you. Is there any supplemental communication that needs to be noted or shared with us?
None received.
Okay, thank you. Okay, with that, next we have public comment. Thank you. I know. Next we have public comment. Do we have anybody that has submitted a request for public comment,
None received.
or anybody that's just now thinking of it out there? Okay, thank you. So with that, it looks like we are going to be going into a closed session. I'll have our legal counsel. Do you want to advise of anything specifically?
Thanks. All the disclosures that need to be made are printed in your agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'm going to hand it over to the chair. I've done those kind of things all the time.
It's worse than that. Back. My thanks to Ms. Bucknam for handling the start of this meeting, because I was brain dead this morning and on automatic pilot and drove to my office. All right, we are out of closed session. Let me turn to council. Anything to report out of closed session?
No reportable action taken in closed session.
All right, thank you very much. That brings us to our consent calendar, items 7A, B, and C. Anyone want to pull an item from consent?
I'll move it.
Madam Clerk, any requests to speak on consent?
No request.
All right, I have a motion. Is there a second? All right, further discussion? Any opposition or abstentions? Seeing none, consent calendar carries unanimously. Thank you very much. We are at item 8A, Municipal Services Review and Sphere of Influence. Mr. Tapia, floor is yours.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. The item before you is the Municipal Service Review and Sphere of Influence Review for the Central region. It includes 6 cities, which includes the city of Anaheim, Irvine, Tustin, Orange, Santa Ana, Villa Park, 4 special districts: Irvine Water District, East Orange County Water District, Silverado, Modjeska Recreation Parks Districts, and Serrano Water District. The MSR, the public draft of the MSR was made public for 30 days, was distributed to the commission, was provided to the affected agencies. We did receive some comments from the agencies, which were incorporated into the MSR. And lastly, I do want to mention that Jim, which is the president of RSG, is here to present the MSR for the commission. At the conclusion of his presentation, I will provide you with the staff recommended actions for this item. Thank you.
Sure.
Good morning. My name is Jim Simon with RSG. We wanted to just give you a brief introduction to the MSR today and have a few slides to go through. Just for the benefit of the audience here, municipal service reviews are basically prepared by LAFCOs to perform an assessment of the agency's service performance for the future. The assessment generally covers 3 general areas. To provide an informational resource to the public about the agencies that are being reviewed. I'm not sure what that was. To inform LAFCO associated tasks as required under statute to update all cities and special district spheres of influence that are subject to that review, and to produce potential boundary changes that may arise from the review process. This is a breakdown of what the requirements of the Cortese-Knox-Hertzberg Act are for a municipal service review. They're broken down into the sphere of influence determinations and MSR determinations. These determinations are largely geared to assess or attest an agency's service capacity, the adequacy of facilities and infrastructure to provide service efficiently, as well as their financial ability to provide services. Our team will cover summaries of these determinations in this presentation, and obviously it's contained in the MSR. Just kind of a quick methodology for how we go about preparing these MSRs. We start with a data collection process that involves looking at public documents. We do collaborate closely with LAFCO's fiscal consultant, Bergson and Associates, who does the fiscal indicators for all agencies in the county, and incorporate that information into our work. We then conduct interviews with agency staff, starting with their survey of those agencies, and then use that to facilitate those conversations. We also do mapping of the service areas, including the spheres of influence, and then finally prepare the MSR itself. This is the central region MSR, the area that we're actually sitting in today, or standing in today in my case. We have six cities, incorporated cities: Anaheim, Irvine, Orange, Santa Ana, Tustin, and Villa Park, 3 water districts, and 1 recreation and park district that are reviewed as part of this process. This table is a summary from information that's contained in the MSR and generally summarizes the size of the spheres of influence for each of the agencies, the jurisdictional boundary or limits, city limits if it's a city, for those service areas. If there is any disadvantaged unincorporated communities located within the spheres of influence, and any unincorporated islands that lies within those areas. Just to kind of touch on a few details here, Anaheim is the only city that has a disadvantaged unincorporated community within their spheres of influence, and there are 4 distinct areas. And no other jurisdiction has any ducks within their spheres of influence. I will note that the city of Orange has 8 unincorporated islands, and Tustin has 1. And this is a map of the central area that was studied as part of this MSR. I will touch on the demographics for this region. It covers the population of approximately 1.15 million people, and within the incorporated areas, or 1.2 million total when you include the population of the unincorporated areas. The 4 special districts encompass a population of about 604,000 people, and there's modest growth that's anticipated to occur in the upcoming years. As you can see, and I'm sure we're all aware, there's been a general slowdown in development activity in the recent years. There was some infill development that took place, but that has since tapered off in recent years. So let's go through some of the determinations within the MSR itself. The first one is the agency's population and growth and housing projections. RSG determined that there is limited residential and housing growth expected over the next 5 years within the time frame of this MSR. This is primarily due to the fact that these areas are primarily built out with some infill redevelopment potential identified within each of the agency's planning documents that we reviewed. Next is the social or economic communities of interest. As we mentioned, there are 4 disadvantaged unincorporated communities within the city of Anaheim, and those areas, in those areas, the city of Anaheim is currently providing water and wastewater service, while fire and emergency medical services are provided by the county, as well as law enforcement, of course. The city has not indicated they have any plans for annexation of these areas at this time. Next is the adequacy of public facilities and services. RSG has determined that each agency has the capacity and are providing adequate services to their ratepayers or to our residents. We did find the city of Orange as detailed in their respective CIP documents and information relayed during the agency's interviews requires some upgrades to their wastewater and water systems, as well as their roads. Similarly, the city of Anaheim also reported the need to upgrade their wastewater system. Under the fourth determination, which is the financial ability to provide services, what you see on the screen here is a summary of the analysis that was prepared by Berkson and Associates. The financial capacity of the central region agencies is adequate for current service levels, but there are both general and specific financial challenges that the region faces in the future. These are not unique to this region, as I'm sure you know by now. Orange County LAFCO's fiscal indicators generally indicate the agencies are reporting high or moderate revenue growth, but the status of expenditure growth and reserves balance is definitely more varied as you look from agency to agency. The cities themselves have adopted reserve policies, which they're able to meet on an ongoing basis. To provide some specific details here, the city of Orange is facing significant ongoing deficits, which will require both long-term revenue enhancements and expenditure cuts to address the structural deficits that the city is facing. The city of Santa Ana may lose significant sales tax revenue in the future once its sales transaction and use tax measure expires in 2039. Quite some time from now, but needless to say, it does sunset. Both of those cities have noted those issues and additionally have discussed the impact of the street upgrades and street maintenance as an impact that is a continuing concern for those agencies. The East Orange Water District reported some concerns about the cost to the agency if there was an increase in requests from homeowners to convert from septic tanks to connecting to the wastewater system main. Staff reported these costs would not apply to the agency unless enough homes with septic tanks were requested to be connected to the agency's infrastructure. The cost for that is about $70,000 per resident. For Santa Ana, the city, as we mentioned, is heavily dependent on Measure X. That's their 1.5% transactions tax measure that was approved originally in 2019, and it approximately comprises 22% of their total general fund. It will be reduced to a 1% rate in 2029 and then fully sunset in 2039. The city is planning for adjustments to service levels upon the decrease and the eventual sunsetting of this tax, but obviously those are long-term plans. The city does not anticipate the sales tax measure will be extended beyond the sunset date, or at least not planning for that at this point in time. Additionally, increased expenditures can be attributed to post-pandemic ARPA funding, which, as you all know, many agencies experienced with the funding from the federal government that came into play, most of which has been spent in full by now. City of Orange is currently facing a $19 million structural deficit. Well, they were facing that last year, which staff anticipates will grow over time if the structural deficit is not addressed. The council has been looking at plans to address changes in operations, including expenditure reductions to fire protection services and law enforcement costs, and have also been looking at opportunities for revenue enhancement, including the sale of one of its library facilities. In November of 2024, Orange voters rejected a sales tax measure, which would have increased the tax rate, the sales tax rate, from 0.5% to 1%. For operations, for opportunities for shared facilities, the agencies did not express the need or desire for any shared facilities, and we did not identify any such needs in the course of our work on this MSR. Under the accountability for community service needs, agencies implement policies to ensure transparency and have websites and social media that are all active and provide sufficient information with respect to things such as agendas, minutes, budgets, audits, and the like. Let's get to the sphere of influence determinations. There are 5 of these, I should mention, that we talked about. First is the sphere of influence updates. There are no sphere amendments being proposed in this MSR at this time. The MSR process did reveal that 3 agencies expressed an interest in potentially expanding their boundaries at some point in the future, and this includes City of Irvine, Silverado Modeska Recreation and Park District, and the Irvine Ranch Water District, and we'll talk about those on these slides. Okay, so first is the City of Irvine. They are planning to annex 2 areas, what they've identified as Area A and B, which is located in the northeast portion of the city's sphere of influence. These 2 areas make up what they refer to as the Implementation District R, which is considered a preservation area under the city's general plan. Intended use is for open space, reserve, and it's consistent with that same designation in the county general plan. These areas are currently managed by the California Department of Fish and Wildlife Natural Community Conservation Program, and Area B includes land owned and used by Irvine Ranch Water District for its reservoir. Should these areas be annexed, Area A would be a housing development and Area B would remain open space. The city has participated in several discussions on the proposed area for annexation with OSG LAFCO, and certainly the executive officer or the interim executive officer could speak to that. Finally, it is not noted a time frame for when that annexation application may be presented to LAFCO. Next is Silverado Modeska. Their MSR was done in 2005, and the agency's sphere of influence boundary at the time was reduced in its western corner near the city of Orange and the cities of Irvine. The detachment was intended to facilitate possible future annexation by Orange due to plans that were in motion for development in that area. However, since that time, there's been no development activity or move by Orange to proceed with that project. In addition, the incorporated Recreation and Park District boundary was not changed to align with the SOI, and this still needs to be detached. It still includes the detached area, even though it was removed from the sphere of influence. Because of this, the district is seeking additional information and our explanatory letter from LAFCO to understand the discrepancy and the potential paths to restore this potential part of their boundary that was previously adjusted. We do note that the sphere of influence that was previously detached does not include an area that receives any services from the district, does not collect any property taxes from this area. In addition, the area is designated as permanent open space. So it's therefore our recommendation that LAFCO reaffirm the existing sphere of influence boundary for the district at this time. And we also recommend that LAFCO further study service provision to who's providing services to the open space lands within this portion of the county. Finally, for Irvine Ranch Water District, the agency notified LAFCO of its interest in exploring annexation of 2 unincorporated parcels within its sphere of influence, which are identified on the map in gray. And that is the current site of the Santiago coal mine property, an island within its current boundary. IRWD recently acquired those properties and is interested in exploring the annexation of 2 additional properties within the Serrano sphere of influence, which contain the Howler water treatment plant that IRWD recently acquired from Serrano. So as for the staff recommendations, which are included in the staff report, obviously first is to receive and file the municipal service review consent region. Second would be to approve the Orange County LAFCO resolution adopting the sphere of influence and SOI determinations, and reconfirming the district's spheres of influence. And then finally, to adopt a notice of exemption for the district's MSR and sphere of influence in accordance with CEQA. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions or defer to staff on those.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Simon. And questions, comments? Commissioner Pistler.
Yeah, thank you. Could you go back to determination 4 slide?
All right, let's get back there. Where the keyboard is easier.
So that footnote that says IRWD does not report unrestricted net positions utilized by LAFCO indication. Is that common or unique, or when you do these things? Is this an outlier, or does it happen somewhat frequently that agencies don't report?
Louis, I may have to defer you on that because I think you're more familiar with what Richard's been working on.
Yeah, so, in terms of the MSRs that we have conducted, this was the first time, that it didn't align with how we look at the, reserves. But essentially, the district explained that their reserves are allocated to different projects, and that is why it didn't meet the standards of how we report out the reserves. However, they did explain that their reserves are allocated to certain projects, capital improvement projects. But I do want to mention that in other MSRs, the way we collect data for the reserves had to be revised and worked out with the agencies, so that it would reflect the accurate numbers. So while it is the first time that we have one that did not 100% meet how we look at reserves, it is not the first time where we had to work with an agency to determine how that's reported.
Okay, so it's pretty unique, was my question. And so, in the past, when we did an MSR on them, there was no issue with the reserves?
This was actually the first time when we we implemented the fiscal indicators as part of the MSR. The first round that went into looking at the MSR, at the financials, did not have fiscal indicators. So this was the first time in the 4th round that we look at the fiscal indicators.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Dabbert.
A couple of questions, Louise. So just for clarification, neither IRWD nor Silverado Majeska or any other agency at this point are requesting any change in their sphere of influence as part of this MSR?
No. If I may add, the agencies that they're looking into annexing or looking at any changes, we're working with them. The ones that, for example, like the city of Irvine, we are working with them on a future annexation of 2 small portion of a parcel. But the other agencies have not submitted anything formally, have not met with us. It was discovered through the MSR.
Okay, so nothing we do today is going to change anybody's sphere of influence or their boundaries or anything?
No.
Okay. And then in terms of Silverado Majeska, I know they've been very vocal. They were very unhappy when they lost territory for development that never happened and now is committed to never happen. But you're working with them on if they want to restore that back to their...
Yes, I actually did have a discussion with their board president in relation to, expanding that SOI back, considering that nothing's being collected there, there's no services, and through the findings from RSG, why we're considering just to reconfirm the SOI at this point. In the future, if that has to be studied, then I think an analysis on that area has to be done to extend that SOI, and that would have to come through the commission at that point.
Thank you.
Anything further? All right, I will entertain a motion. Respect to staff recommendations.
Yeah.
Good call, thank you. Public hearing, so I will open the public hearing and ask if there are members of the public wish to be heard.
None received.
All right, so we can close the public hearing. Thank you for that.
Move staff
And
recommendation.
there's a motion for staff recommendation, a second. Further discussion? Seeing none, any opposition or abstentions? Matter carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Tapia and Mr. Simon. Where are we? Item 9A, professional consultant services agreement with RSG. Mr.
Move it.
Tapia,
Chair and
be quick, don't talk yourself out of it.
okay.
No. Go ahead, go ahead.
So, Chair and Commissioners, the item before you is the professional service agreement for the North MSR, which includes 5 cities and 2 special districts. Staff did conduct an RFP process, request for proposals, and selected RSG Inc. to conduct the MSR, having the experience that they have with Orange County, OC LAFCO, understanding the process of the MSR. We saw that they were the most fit to do the MSR. The staff recommendation is for the commission to approve a contract not to exceed $89,965, and then to direct the interim executive officer to execute the agreement.
All right,
That concludes my presentation.
thank you. There is a motion. Is there discussion or a second? All right, it's been seconded. Further discussion? Seeing none. Any opposition or abstentions? Seeing none, that matter carries unanimously. Thank you very
Chair,
much.
who moved the motion?
It was Commissioner Dabbert, seconded by Commissioner Buckman.
No.
No. Who seconded it? Commissioner,
Jim.
okay. Commissioner Fissler seconded it. My bad. All right, we are at item 9B, the legislative report. Mr. Tapia.
I will pass it on to our analyst, Amy Diaz.
All right. Good morning, Commissioners. The item brought before you today is the legislative report for September. And as the legislative cycle progresses, the deadline for any bills to pass through their respective committees has passed as of September 12th. And so now Governor Newsom has until October 12th to sign or veto any of the bills that are on his desk currently. And with that, introduced at the July meeting is Senate Bill 777, which initially raised concerns over the long-term funding of abandoned endowment care cemeteries, which prompted the commission to adopt an opposed position. But since then, the bill has been amended to instead focus on forming a working group for cemetery maintenance. And so this working group is includes the League of California Cities, CSAC, Public Cemeteries, LAFCO, and other public agencies. The Alliance of California LAFCOs has requested to participate in these working groups. But based on these amendments, which have removed the previous issues that many LAFCOs had with the bill, staff is recommending that the commission modify its position from an opposed to a watch position. And this aligns with the commission's legislative policy of watching bills that are of interest to LAFCOs, but do not directly affect us. And so with that, the bill has been sent to the governor's desk and is awaiting his signature, and staff will continue to monitor or provide any future updates. So next is Senate Bill 858, which is also known as the Omnibus Act of 2025. And this includes non-substantive amendments to the CKH Act. And so at the July meeting, the commission took a support position on this bill, and staff has sent a letter of support on July 31st, 2025. This bill also has been sent to the governor's desk, and so no further action is required by the commission. And lastly, the Alliance of California LAFCOs has recently met, and it approved their legislative policies and guidelines, which are going to work as a framework for reviewing and adopting positions on LAFCO-related legislation. The Alliance did also direct the Legislative Committee to continue searching for a consultant to assist with tracking future legislation with the upcoming 2026 session. And so with that, staff is recommending that the Commission adopt a watch position on SB 777, and that concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
All right, thank you very much. Let me bring it back to any requests to speak from the public? None. Thank you. Come back to the commission. Questions, comments? Anybody?
I agree with the recommendation, so I'll move it.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Further discussion? Seeing none, that carries unanimously. Thank you very much. And we are at item 9C, the request to join an amicus.
Chair and Commissioners, the item before you is the request to join an amicus brief related to the appeal of Monterey Peninsula Water Management District versus Monterey LAFCO. Little background on the item. So the district filed an application for lane power activation to provide water within a portion of the Monterey County. the commission denied the application using the substantial evidence measurement that is delineated in the CKH Act after reviewing the factors of consideration that are provided for the review of an application. The district did file a essentially challenging the decision of the commission with the court. The trial court, while recognizing that there was substantial evidence used to make the decision, they essentially ruled that it sided with the district based on rationale connection, meaning it can be considered a higher form of analyzing that decision in which there's a connection between each factor of consideration for the application. Now this, in discussing with other LAFCOs and also with council, can have implications of how LAFCOs review applications in the future, considering that the CKH Act provides for that substantial evidence, which also provides some discretion to the commission in how those factors are reviewed during an application process. Therefore, staff is recommending that the commission consider joining on the amicus brief with allowing the interim executive officer to keep track of that document, and then also to provide support in terms of the cost to provide that document, which we're asking for no more than $1,200, which will actually be a lot less considering the LAFCOs that are going to be joining on that document. And to also direct the interim executive officer to provide you updates on how that document is moving and the case as well. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
All right, thank you very much. Commissioner Fishler, followed by Commissioner Deb.
So you just said at the end, $1,200, and you said it would be less. And did you say because of the other LAFCOs putting in money? Is that what you said?
Yes, so the total cost for the...
Did you say, one other question, or did you say ours is less than what the other LAFCOs are putting in? Because I'd like to know what the other ones are doing.
No, so everyone, so the LAFCOs that are joining in will be paying the same amount. The total cost to produce the document is $7,500. So each LAFCO will be providing the same amount for the cost, and the recommendation is not to provide anything beyond the $1,200. But at the end of the day, it's going to be the same amount. Each LAFCO is going to pay the same amount.
Thank you. Commissioner Dabbert.
I fully support this. If you read the background on this, the LAFCO in Monterey County did its job, and they did it well, and they followed all the rules. Unfortunately, the agency that's trying to take over a private water company in a very aggressive manner using eminent domain was rebuffed, and LAFCO found that they would not be the best service provider. So I think we owe it to our fellow LAFCOs and then to ourselves to join in this brief and protect the jurisdiction of LAFCO.
All right. Is that a motion?
Yes, that'll be a motion.
Hypothetically.
I was going to second this.
All right, there's a second. Further discussion? All right, seeing no further discussion, any opposition or abstentions? Matter carries unanimously. Go forth and conquer. All right. That brings us to commissioner comments. Item 10. Anyone, comments for the good of the order? Commissioner Buckman.
Thank you. I just wanted to share, because our city attorney passed away a little over a week ago, and he was very well known by many in the county and region. And I know some of you probably heard, but it was very unexpected. Mr. Bill Curley, who represented more than Mission Viejo, he represented a few other cities, and he was very instrumental in helping us put together the Sober Living Recovery Task Force that focuses on housing and those in neighborhoods, and it has brought together many cities across Southern California as well as the state. So great man, and I just wanted to share that because I know the rumor mill goes, but he was supposed to have a procedure on Tuesday, and unfortunately on Friday, or excuse me, on the just the day before he passed. So it's a loss for our city, and he was our city attorney for 21 years. So I'm sorry to share bad news, and then more news with a death came in that same week with Charlie Kirk. So it has been a very rough week for these types of things, and I just want to honor those two people and what they've done for our communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? All right, Ms. Tapia, Executive Officer.
I have a couple items. The first one, I want to formally introduce Leo Lara as our new policy analyst. He comes with experience in water, looking at water efficiency. Previously was doing an internship with IRWD, and then also has a master's in public administration. The second item that I want to make the commission aware is staff is aware that there was a release for proposals by the Trabuco Water District. And within that proposal, there is, it does mention that they're looking for neighboring agencies to look into options for rate relief that will sustain their infrastructure and their services. And in that proposal, it does mention annexation or a portion annexation. And I just want to make the commission aware that anything that has to do with a proposed reorganization would have to come through LAFCO. So I just want to make the commission aware that we are aware of that it's out in the public. And so I just wanted to report that out to the commission. And lastly, I do want to report out that the Alliance of the Southern LAFCOs did meet. We did meet about a month ago, discuss a couple items, including the mission statement, the logo, how we would move forward in terms of meeting, and would we do a one-day conference in different topics. The direction as a whole, with attendance of Commissioner Wong and then also Commissioner McGregor, was that we continue to meet but take 1 to 2 items and then decide on those items, and that way we can be a little bit more constructive moving forward. So our next upcoming meeting will be on Monday, this upcoming Monday, and an agenda will be mailed out, and it'll have a couple items just so that we can tackle it and be more efficient with our time. And that concludes all of my reports.
Commissioner Dabbert.
Luis, you'd mentioned a moment ago, or actually somebody did, that when you had your meeting, you adopted some legislative things. Is that something, the policies? Could you share that with us at some point?
Sure, and if I want to add, we used our template. We did use our template. A lot of it came off because it is only applicable to our LAFCO, but I did use our template as a form.
All right, thank you very much. Item 12, informational items and announcements. Anyone? Anything? All right, we are at adjournment. Thank you all. Where are we next time?
We are back at the county facility.
Not that it matters, I'll be there anyway. All right, thank you all. We stand adjourned.